Chit Chat is sponsored by Fun Again Games, where everyone is welcome at our table, and your source for hard-to-find imports, liquidation games, new releases, and much more. Be sure to visit funagain.com to check it out. It's episode 91 of Chit Chat, and we've been to PAX Unplugged and lived to tell the tale. We could have drowned in all the games we saw, many of which were sneak peeks at some big hitters for 2022. Hopefully, we don't share anything we're not supposed to. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 91 of Chit Chat. Despite the way this looks, Ryan and I are sitting here at the table. There's no chairs. There's not even an Emily here.
Wait, there's no chairs?
No, well, we do have these chairs, but we don't have the Chit Chat chairs.
That's true.
There is one very important component that we do have, but it's not here. It's up in Milwaukee, and that is Jeremy Howard, everybody.
Whoa, big introduction, sort of.
Sort of.
But hey, thanks for having me, guys. Via Milwaukee, via satellite.
Via satellite.
Up at the now known MVM North.
Hailing from MVM North. Yes, that's what we should say. I feel like we're in an episode of Conan O'Brien, early 2000s, where it was like everything was via satellite.
Well, we're glad to have you via satellite.
Yeah, we're glad to have you any way we can get you, Jeremy. Today, we are going to be talking about PAX Unplugged. We all just got back to our respective homes from PAX Unplugged just a couple days ago, really, a few days ago.
Really, yeah.
And it was kind of a whirlwind trip. We had our preview show. We wanted to use this episode of Chit Chat to kind of report back in, to tell you what we got a chance to do, what we got a chance to play.
There was a lot.
There was, and even some games that we've had that I also had a chance to play.
Before we get too far into it, of course, there's a lot we want to talk about. I do want to talk about last week's Chit Chat, where we gave away a game. We gave away Wingspan.
We gave away Wingspan, and this was a few weeks ago now.
This was a few weeks ago. We've done our holiday gift guide, so take a look at that. We did our PAX coverage. So there's been definitely content, but not an official Chit Chat. So we did give away Wingspan last time we met, and we're giving that away to Head of Metal. Your comment won, so please email us at manversusmeeple@gmail.com so we can get that Wingspan copy out to you. I didn't want to get too far to PAX stuff.
No, that's true.
Because I am chomping at the bit, and I do want to say before we get started, PAX U is not normally a con that we would be bringing this much coverage of. And in fact,
No.
I wouldn't expect this kind of coverage next year. But because of COVID, because of all of the scheduling issues with a lot of games, with a lot of publishers, there were a bunch of games at PAX U that we didn't see all year.
No, and I think this was the first time I've ever remembered looking at PAX and thinking, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of publishers who are giving us a sneak peek at 2022.
Because usually we get those at Gen Con, but we didn't get much of that at all.
Yeah, we didn't
Gen
get
Con
much
this
of
year.
that at all, and I think usually PAX, everyone is just kind of like ready to turn off for the year.
Well, yeah, it's usually
everyone
our
just-
final con, right?
Everyone just kind of does that, they chill, they play games, and a lot of that still happened. But there were a few cool games that we got a
there were
chance to
some
demo.
really cool games.
You guys got a little bit more chance to demo than I did, but I did
That's
get
what we do.
I did get the lowdown, and hopefully you saw some of our coverage. We showed a little bit of it throughout the week, and we're going to talk a little bit about that now. But who wants to start?
Well, really quick, I want Jeremy Howard. You got to see some stuff that I didn't get to see that I was really excited about, and I know we talked about this. But did you get to play Andromeda's Edge from Luke Laurie? Did you get to play it?
What?
I did not. Actually, I did not. I think both of us were gonna eventually play it together with Peter. I spent the whole day with Peter, but I did not get a chance to play that one. What I did get to play was a game that's coming up on Kickstarter, and I think we're gonna be doing some coverage on it. It's called Seas of Havoc. It's by Rock Manor Games. They've done Set a Watch, Lawyer Up, and if you have Lawyer Up, you can find a copy of me in there. You can find a copy of me in there as one of the people. I think I'm like funding an urban development league or something like that, but I'm a key witness. So check that out. But Seas of Havoc is a new addition to the worker placement deck building thing. You are pirates kind of battling it out on the water. But this is a really interesting thing because you are actually battling it out on the water with your ships after you do the worker placement and the deck building type phase. So what you're going to be doing is you'll be placing your workers around, gathering types of resources. You'll even gather kind of like, it's not specializations, but I'll just say that for description purposes. And you'll have a deck of cards that you're also purchasing from a market. When you get to the other phase, which is using those cards that you built your deck with, you are maneuvering your ships around and taking shots at each other. And that's how you'll score points. You can even ram your opponent. You can discover treasure. And it's a really, really interesting game. As a matter of fact, it was so good, just dig this, at a con, that I sat and played a full game twice.
Wow.
So if I could spend 3 hours with the game, 2 hours with the game. Actually, I would say the game is like 75 minutes, even at a con with instructions, which was great. I played it full all the way through twice at 4 players. So
man,
definitely a good experience.
I did not play through. I played through 2 games full while I was there, and I played 1 game halfway through.
Nice.
So I'm going to tell about those. Now, these are games we've played, but I just want to report back in. I did get Bitoku taught to a table of people, nice. And then Alicia was going to play with them, but she wasn't feeling it at the moment. You know how you're at a con, and you're like, sometimes you want to play games, sometimes you don't. Well, Alicia didn't, so we were teaming up on that. Yeah. It ended up being a little bit more me than her. But then I think we started the game a little too late because I think where we were sitting was going to close. So we had to wrap it up. We had to go to dinner, stuff like that. But I did play a game of Trek 12 with a big group of people, including Deadpan and Giggles from our Discord. So thanks. It was great also just meeting people.
They stopped me too, dead in my tracks, and it was really nice to see. I just want to cut you off and say this. It's really exciting to see the people that came up. I know we were giving away promos, but I had random people just walk up to me and say hi. I never get tired of that.
Yeah.
I always tell people, make sure you come up to say hi. And this was kind of, if you don't know, PAX U is kind of a content creators kind of convention. So if you're you want to go to a convention at the end of the year, you're probably going to see more content creators that you are aware of at these things. And they're not famous. We're all just people. I mean, heck, Shut Up and Sit Down was even there. Everybody's there to check out the games at the end of the year. So always just come by and say hi. And it was good to see some people using their names from our Discord to say hi.
It was really cool.
That's how you
faces,
put, names to faces and stuff like that.
Putting names to faces was really cool. And I got a chance to play that one game of Trek 12. They did really well, by the way. Yeah. I did horribly that game. And then another game I played all the way through was Messina, which we also have talked a little bit about. But I'll have both of you know, because the 3 of us have had our time with Messina. And this was one of the first times where I taught it, and I told people 100 times, we must follow along with these rules. And then everyone played by that, and it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I had that experience at BGG-Con too. I was like, just stop, everyone. Stop. Let me guide us through this, and it'll be so much smoother. And it was a pretty smooth experience.
And I don't usually say this, and I'm about to brag, but I did win.
I didn't win much.
I won pretty handily.
That's not a humble brag at all.
No, it's a total brag, but I just don't do that very often. So please let me do it for this one time.
Yeah.
There must be something about winning at a convention that just feels better. I don't know why.
I don't do it.
I won the majority of games I played in at the con. It was great.
Really?
There must be something about that, or it's like I beat real competition outside of my own, that kind of thing. I don't know. But I was like, wow, I'm winning these games. Maybe that's why I like them all so much.
That's not true.
I don't know.
I did win Lawyer Up. You were just talking about Lawyer Up.
You played it?
I did. I got to play Lawyer Up at PAX U. I played one of the new cases. There are a variety of new cases coming out for Lawyer Up. I can only talk about one. It was a divorce trial, which was very interesting. There are 2 celebrities getting a divorce, and instead of trying to sway a group of jurors, you're fighting over who gets what in the divorce. Ugh. And it's actually pretty dark. It's the family pets, the photos, the kids, the house, all this, and you're trying to sway it one way or the other. Of course, it plays just like Lawyer Up because you're still calling witnesses in to speak on behalf of you or them. It was cool and a neat twist. And Jeremy, you were there as well. I flipped over one of the cards. I was like, wait a minute. I flipped over the card, and there he was, Jeremy Howard, writing Lawyer Up. But I do want to say, I can't talk about it or what he told me, but I will say that the new cases are wild. It's
boy.
We're at a point now where Lawyer Up is such a core experience that they found ways to kind of mess with that experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and some of the things that he has planned. Let's just say that when Lawyer Up comes to Kickstarter or GameFound, I think it's GameFound next year, you're going to want to be paying attention to it, because if you love Lawyer Up, it's going to blow your mind.
And by the way, if you want a little bit of a taste of Lawyer Up, and I promise I'm not going to be doing this for much longer because our campaign is about to end, but sneak preview, if you're watching this Thursday night, tomorrow, Friday, if you're watching this when it's live, we're going to be dropping a bunch of bundles, a couple of which are Lawyer Up bundles.
Nice, awesome.
So you can get a little bit of a taste. What else did you guys play that's kind of like on the cutting edge of 2022?
So I think one that's going to kick off the year is something that's coming to retail. How about that? Retail.
Really?
It's called Familiar Tale. As a matter of fact.
Oh, yes. This is one of the ones I really wanted to try.
We covered it a little bit.
Yeah,
It is here. I got delivered while I was gone, which is great. This game is by Jerry Hawthorne. And by the way, if you meet Jerry Hawthorne,
fantastic.
you want to be a little bit of starstruck. This guy is so talented. Is so talented. Like, such a great writer. He's a really good designer. We're talking Mice and Mystics. We're talking Stuffed Fables. We're talking, just a really, really smart designer and a great writer. And this one doesn't look to be any different as far as that level, as far as the writing goes. But the gameplay is up a notch. You're playing as familiars, and you are playing familiars taking a baby on this quest. You find this baby, it's thrusted upon you, and you're going to be going through these quests. But as you go through these chapters, and this is one of the really cool things about it. Let me grab this real quick. This is great, by the way, great for video. They have this like map that you go through. That represents the chapter, so you can kind of go on past that you want to. But as you go, the baby will have temper tantrums and all kinds of stuff like that makes it harder for you to control them. You'll be building your deck, and it's a deck builder.
Yeah,
so
it's a deck builder,
little
not
ways
dice.
You use icons on the cards, and they're all different. You can evolve your deck, which is really cool, and it changes from chapter to chapter. There's 3 chapters in the game. It's got about 20 or 30 scenarios, I think it is. He said it's something like 30 hours or so of gameplay. It just looks really good. This one is voice narrated, so it's going to have the web browser app just like you would have for Forgotten Realms. So if you play Forgotten Realms, you know what that is like. And in response to all the negativity surrounding Aftermath's rulebook, me included, Lord Jesus, they have addressed that with, I believe, a full tutorial in that web browser app, and also a glossary where you can just look up stuff and get to the answer real quick. Yeah. So this will be updated when the game actually arrives. I think the first third of it will be done for voice. And if you heard the Forgotten Waters app, it was absolutely amazing when you played the narrated stuff. So further you got, the more you stick with it, you will have a full read out game. And I was just blown away. I played it with One Stop Co-op Shop, Mike from One Stop Co-op Shop, and Will from Hunger Gamer. And we just had a blast. I mean, this is definitely a great way to start out a year for solo and co-op people. But I think this game would be great for families. Like, this will be a home run, like Mice and Mystics home run for families. But when we played it together, it was great.
All his games are.
So Ryan, I know Jeremy did too, but you played Tidal Blades Part 2.
Tidal Blades Part 2, and the subtitle is escaping me.
Rise of the something or other.
Right. You'll see it.
It's right here on the bottom of the screen.
Yes,
we'll call it Tidal Blades 2, Heroes Still on the Reef.
It's definitely not called that.
I did get to play Tidal Blades 2. It's crazy cool.
Well, it's nothing like the first one, right?
You played this too. First of all, no, it is nothing like the first
Yeah.
one. It is a cooperative narrative adventure game.
Like a dungeon crawler.
Like a dungeon crawler with some tactics, like tactical elements involved. But like I said, it's fully cooperative and fully narrative. And you're having this really cool storyline that literally takes place right at the end of Tidal Blades. Tidal Blades, the first one, didn't really have a story to it. It was just kind of your training to be one of these Tidal Blades. And now you're kind of completing that training to become a Tidal Blade and protect your village from all these different creatures of the deep. But you're doing it through this really, really unique mechanic where you have a 3x3 grid, and each one of the spaces on that grid is some kind of printed element. But then you're placing cards on top of one of those spaces, and then you're triggering the row or the column. So you're getting everything in that row or that column.
That just sounds fun mechanically.
And it's super satisfying because you're laying out these cards, and it's like your base card you might have an attack card. And then you play another card that's move, and now you're moving and attacking. Then you might play a link card that strengthens your attack, and then you're moving and attacking with like 6 dice. And then once you trigger an entire row or an entire column, those cards all go away, and you have to start replenishing that row or column again. And so you're experimenting with this grid, trying to maximize your stats, get your best dice rolls, while still being able to move around the board and complete the objective. And I played the first scenario, and it's wild. I don't know how far you got, Jeremy, but I love the fact that the storybook is actually 2 books together, and you can open one page and another, so the scenes can change. Half the board can change at a time
really?
as you do new narrative events. It's very cool.
Oh, and there can be a third element to that too.
Yeah.
So there's way more stuff. This is almost Jaws of the Lion like with that kind of stuff. Except you're going to be unfolding things and putting things back and stuff. But I will correct you on one thing. There is a story in Tidal Blades. Each character actually has a deck that they upgrade, and when they upgrade, the cards actually tell their story.
That is true.
That is true.
I actually paid attention to the story. I don't know why. It was something about this game that I had connective tissue to it. But of course, now you don't really have to tell a lot of the story because there is some story in the game from the previous game. But some of the things that I really liked is yes, it's a dice chucker, but they have all these ways to mitigate your rolls, and they also have ways that you kind of like gain things, like the shells that you used to use for defense.
And
you
the
use them in
fruits.
defense in a different way now. And they also use those shells as also a kind of a trigger. You hold the resource and then you kind of unleash it, a la Too Many Bones. So it's something that you can take these dice rolls and use them for something later. I also like that fact that you can, like you have these different types of resources, one for reroll, one for extra boost movement, all these types of things. Just totally blew me out the water. I was not ready for something that robust. And they are testing for true solo for this one. One player, one character.
Yep.
I would prefer to keep this one. I would prefer. There's just some games I prefer to like this game right here. I got to play as all 4 players in Familiar Tales. Totally fine with that. I think this one is going to be a beast, so I would love to play it with 1 player only.
Yeah.
Should be really interesting to see how that works. But they're already working on that pre-Kickstarter. They're just kind of fleshing it out, making sure everything is straight, which is really good to hear because I was sus on the first game with Solo, and then when I finally saw the end product, I was like, this is awesome. I'm hoping the same thing for this one. They've been working on it for a while, seems like, because what we played was really solid and ready to go. And they said, hey, all 6 scenarios right now in the base game are ready to go. And I was like,
and there's going to be something like 20 by the time the Kickstarter runs.
And we might have some.
We'll have some coverage.
We're hoping that we can have some coverage of that.
I think it's in February.
Yeah, it's coming up early.
From their plan is to launch Tidal Blades 2 on 2/22/22.
So hopefully
that actually works out
happens.
because that's a pretty cool moment.
That is the marketing genius of James Hudson, I think, probably at work right there.
You know what? You mentioned Jaws of the Lion, and I want to say again, like going from Tidal Blades 1 to 2, Tidal Blades 1 is my biggest criticism of that game is the setup time. Pulling out all the trays, all the boards, all the everything. Tidal Blades 2 is literally you put the storybook on the table, flip it open, and you're ready to go. Like this setup is super quick. Like you could be from box to playing in like 10 minutes in Tidal Blades 2.
That was almost a great segue because you brought up Jaws of the Lion.
Frosthaven.
Yeah.
We promised that we would report back on the Beyond from Frosthaven and Beyond, and we did. Ryan interviewed Isaac. We learned what it was all about.
Little joke.
We have the proof right here. It was miniatures, everybody. If in case you hadn't heard already, they're doing a campaign of miniatures for all the enemies and monsters in Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, everything.
And Forgotten Circles.
Forgotten Circles.
All the way, yeah. So anything that's in Frosthaven, you'll be able to get miniature packs.
And we got, basically, we're lucky enough to get a whole set of all 7 of them here. And I can tell you, and I'll put up some pictures right now too. These are nice little miniatures, and I have to say, I've been to a lot of conventions in my time, both video game and board game. And whenever someone can hold a press conference and say, oh, by the way, everyone today here is leaving with blank, That is
People seem to love them.
That is sweet. And everyone was able to get one of these mystery boxes and open up, and we were lucky enough for photo purposes to get a hold of all 7.
And like you said, we were there. We were lucky enough to be there at the press conference, and I want to say I think it was handled really well because
it was awesome.
Well, there are a lot of fans who have been just dying for miniatures, like just begging for miniatures. And Isaac, I think, was very honest about his approach and saying like, I don't know if Gloomhaven needs miniatures. He's like, but you want them.
Yeah, I think truth be told, Isaac, deep down, he'd be a guy who probably didn't use miniatures.
I bet he would be fine with the standees, and he was even like, I don't want there to be pressure in the community to have these miniatures because they're not going to be cheap. There's no way they're going to be cheap.
No.
To have this, it's going to be a ton of miniatures.
And 2 more things on that. One, I do think that's great. I think the fact that he's not really that guy, but at the same time he recognizes there's a ton of fans who want miniatures.
There's desire for that.
So they're doing it for all those fans. So that's going to be coming sometime next year. And then the other thing on that panel in and of itself was Mick and Starla from Our Family Plays Games did a killer job. That was one of the most entertaining panels, not that I've ever been to, but I've ever seen. It was just a blast.
I think you could actually watch at least parts of the panel
on their channel.
Yeah. So you should do that. If you don't know Our Family Plays Games, Mick is a big Gloomhaven fan, and he brought that Gloomhaven love to
It was
the
great.
panel.
Mick is a big Gloomhaven fan.
Starla's
not so much. They played that beautifully, and Mick's energy, by the way, if you haven't watched their channel, Mick's got energy.
Oh, he does.
Isaac and Mick, the dynamic between the two of them was very entertaining to watch. So go check it out for sure. Anything else that got played? Because I have a correction to make before too long. Jeremy, do you have another game you played?
I have a game that I want to talk about.
Oh.
Because I just thought it was so unique and different. It's called Manus Falls.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit on Kickstarter, I think earlier this year or late last year. This is a 2 to 3 player game, but really it's promoted as a 2, where you're in this dark town together, and it's like a hand management type game, but you're trying to make it out of Manus Falls in the middle of in the night. And what's happened is you could play the role of a person that's a witness to this crime or the assassin, but you could also just be 2 witnesses to a crime. So the key here is that nobody knows who's who the whole game. So you are going through this game, and you could do terrible things to each other. You could ally somebody, and that ally may be sus, may not be. You are doing things that will help both of you out, but then you're playing out events to see who's who, but you can never tell anybody who you are. But you're ultimately trying to get out of there. They even said there's even an alley where there's a sniper that can shoot you, but you wouldn't know any of this until you're trying to get out of town. As the closer and closer you get, the more tense it gets, because is this person, are we both witnesses, or are you an assassin and I'm a person? I thought this was crazy. It just sounds like the intense 2-player experience I look for.
Oh,
I
it's
look
2-player?
Games that create this type of tension, and
it's a 2-player game.
When she was showing me and explaining, I'm kind of watching at the side of my eye, watching these 2 people play, and they're dead silent, and they're trying to get out of this town, and it's just crazy how that would unfold, because there are things where you would hurt someone just to see the reaction and what they would do, and sometimes it benefits you to hurt each other, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you find things out as you get closer and closer to trying to leave the town. Which it just and the thing was, it blew me away. The price point was like $35. I was like, Lord, they put an expansion inside of there. They put a playmat inside of there. They put bags for all the resources inside of there. It's like this box is like this big, and it's got all that stuff inside this box. So I was like, I know why they did so well on Kickstarter, and they ran out of ideas to put in that box because everything's in the box. So I was really, really blown away by the presentation and what it was doing. And I love an intense 2-player game. I just love an intense 2-player game. So this one is something to keep your eyes out for, y'all. Like, I'm serious. Like, this may be another one that gets slept on, and hopefully it doesn't get lost in the Kickstarter shuffle.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about it
because this was good.
Yeah, we just did our 2-player video, and I'm always happy to hear about another 2-player game for sure. Now,
I'm gonna give you a correction.
I have some corrections. The first correction is for our PAX preview video.
Oh, what did we say?
And our second correction is for something I said earlier in this
Already
video.
We couldn't go back and edit the correction in.
And hopefully I don't have to correct this correction.
Oh, no.
But the first correction, in our PAX video, I said reading terminal.
Oh, no. Here we go.
And believe us, did you get to, I assume you did over there.
It's
Reading Terminal. It's Reading Terminal, by the way.
I
That was
always
the
thought
correction.
it was Reading Terminal.
Same here.
But we looked it up just to make sure, and the pronunciation guide said reading.
Yeah, we literally got on Google. Google said reading terminal.
Right.
So we went, okay, let's go reading. And then we heard in the comments, thank you very much.
And they're present.
We don't mind, but there were plenty of you who reminded us that was Reading Terminal. Long story short, I got over to Reading Terminal several times.
Oh, yeah. Did you get a cheesecake? Or cheese steak, sorry?
I got a cheese. No, I didn't get a cheesesteak.
Did you go to the Nick's and get that Italian beef? Oh.
No, but I went to Herschel's and I got my pastrami sandwich.
I did too. Did you get the special?
I don't know. I was sitting at the table while Alicia got it. It was going to Reading Terminal is a bit of an adventure. You have to go with a team and say, okay, you're on table duty. I'm going to get the food.
It's like going to a mini con and finding a place to play a game after.
It is kind of crazy. So that's the one thing. The other thing, the other correction is earlier I said I just played through Messina fully.
Yeah.
That was a lie. I also played Brian Boru.
Oh, okay. At PAX?
Oh.
I just got Brian Boru delivered to me. I ordered it off of, I think, Amazon just before PAX. And it came the morning, I think, of that we were leaving for PAX. So I took it with me. It is a really cool trick-taking area control game. And we played a full game of it with 4 players. And I had played it. Actually, I didn't get it the morning of. See, there is a correction already.
Wow.
But I had played it one other time.
Wow. Show notes.
Right, we're gonna
Episode 91. Lies.
Hey, could you please tell us even if you were even at PAX U? Please.
I wasn't.
Tell us were you at PAX U?
Tell
Tell us one
really
truth. You've
he
told
sat here.
2 lies already.
I didn't go to PAX U. I don't play board games. My name's not David Waybright.
No.
No, but I played Brian Boru with Rob and Christina and
From Blue Pig Pink Peg.
And I think Alicia took a break from that one. I played with Jeremy also, who was on Blue Pig Pink Peg, not our Jeremy here.
They're Jeremy.
They're Jeremy. And we had a lot of fun with that one. It played out differently than the last time I played it. There's a number of things going on. There's like the church that you have to make happy. There are Vikings that are trying to attack the whole time. And then there are, of course, the territories all throughout the board that you're trying to take control of. But you're doing, and there's a marriage track because you're like marrying off to raiding other countries.
This is exactly what I want.
And ultimately the Princess of Denmark, who is sort of tied to the Vikings. And at the end of the game, if you marry off to the Princess of Denmark, you actually are able to manipulate some of the Viking-controlled territories. It's really cool. It's from Osprey, and it's incredibly well produced.
I've heard it's really good.
It's got foil on the box. There's spot gloss on the board. It's definitely my jam for sure.
So there's a couple of things I want to mention before we're done.
Yeah.
One of them is that I was lucky enough to meet with Justin Gary from Stoneblade Entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
And he sent me back with a copy of Ascension Tactics. Which, sorry, I almost called it Stoneblade Tactics, which is not a thing. But we had covered this before. You might remember we had
Gen Con, right?
Well, we had an early prototype, like a year or so ago, like very crude prototype. And then, Gen Con, we got to see a little bit of it, but it's actually out, being produced now. He sent me back with a copy so that we can unbox it, look at it, and play it. So you'll be able to see a lot more coverage on Ascension Tactics because he's bringing it back to crowdfunding next year.
Oh.
And so you'll want to take a look, watch our stuff, and let us know. Because if you're a fan of Ascension, I think that this game is great. I don't want to talk too much about it because you'll see it in our videos. And there's one more thing I talked about on the live stream this morning even that I knew that I would talk about this. And I got to see Sagrada Legacy. I got the whole rundown of Sagrada Legacy, spoilers and everything.
Really?
I can't talk about it all. I can't talk about a lot of it, but there are some things that I think are really, really cool about this. For one thing, and you might have already known this from the logo, you can see it's hidden in the logo right in plain sight. I didn't know this, but it's a colored pencil. This is not a dice placement game. It is a coloring game. You have you have colored pencils, and the mechanics are just like Sagrada, but instead of taking a die and putting it on your board, you literally have like a coloring book page.
And you can say all of this right
I
now?
can say. And
I'm
you're
so nervous right now.
You're coloring
I'm
in
ready
spaces.
to edit him out of this episode.
Yeah.
I'm saying like that, but I didn't even notice that. And he was like, it's right there in the logo. There's a colored pencil right in the logo. And so you're coloring in these squares instead of actually placing the dice there. So you're still playing Sagrada like you know it. Same rules of Sagrada apply, but you're coloring it in. What this lets them do, though, is have maps that are not just grids that are squares. They can have all different kinds because it's coloring. So the shapes can be anything. That's all I'll say about that.
Interesting.
The shapes can be anything, and they have come together in some really, really cool ways. And everyone kind of has their own little book.
Okay.
It's like a journal.
Okay, I think you should stop talking.
No, this is all.
Okay.
I was vetted.
Wow, he's going in. He's going in.
Everyone's
He
going to
is.
want this. Everyone has like a book that has these pages in it. And that's like your family book. And so all the typical legacy stuff that you might expect, there's a lot of that in there. A lot of it has to do with your book. And so when you're done, you have like your little like legacy book of all your Sagrada adventures. That's the base. There's so much cool stuff happening in this game. The stuff that I can't talk about. If you're a Sagrada fan, just that idea, I think alone of like taking the colored pencils and coloring instead of placing the dice is very cool. But there's just a ton of cool thematic stuff to Sagrada, and they've hidden a ton of like just little references to Sagrada and the history of Sagrada within this legacy component.
So one of two things
very,
are going.
very cool.
One of two things are going to happen. One, I'm going to find out he couldn't say what he just said, and we're just coming back, and you're like, "What did Ryan say?"
No
well, I'm sorry,
spoilers
you'll
there
never
at
know.
all. No spoilers.
Or two, you didn't reach any trust of our friends at Floodgate, and you just learned a lot about.
You learned a lot about Sagrada.
I learned a lot. I didn't know all
some
that.
of this stuff is out, but being actually able to see it was really cool. See some of the components to it that I'm not going to talk about was really cool.
Okay.
It's a cool.
You know what? Thank all that is holy. Ryan didn't see Spider-Man before us. I can tell you that right now. You might
trust
tell
me.
the whole thing. You might be like a trailer.
There are
the
no
day after it comes
Spider-Man,
out.
no Spider-Man spoilers
trust me
in this
though, like-
episode of Chit Chat.
I'll just say that, this is again I can say because the idea of Sagrada Legacy I was like, okay, how is it going to be different? And just already I was like, oh.
So you're sold.
I'm sold.
You're sold.
I'm sold. It's very cool. So
Sold.
that was something we got to take a look at it.
It sounds intriguing
So,
to me.
I think it's going to be wildly popular.
Jeremy, did you have any other things that you wanted to talk about? I wanted to finish off with just a couple things I played outside of PAX myself before we leave.
Oh, you know what? There was a really cool little game called Surreal Party I played, and we played a full game. I don't think the publisher was like expecting us to play a full game, but you got these gigantic cards, tarot-sized cards, and there are guests on there, and you are inviting these guests to the party, and they have like this little tray you actually put the little pieces on. You actually put what's being served on because there's a menu of items being served to you, and you can like put them on your card because you're trying to serve them because they're at your party. So you're trying to get them to get different things, and all you're doing is fulfilling orders on the cards. But there are things that you can do to the cards to your left and your right, like gossip. And some people like gossip and some people don't. So it can like make their cards do better, and then some can make your cards worse. But since the controversy travels, it goes 2 cards over. So some people may not like that you're talking bad about the guests to their left, and it affects them differently. And all the cards have different powers, which is really interesting. But you can also send people away. You can send them home, and when you send them home, the little icons, the little bits come off the board, and that's how you're going to score at the end of the game, how many of those you've collected. But there's ways of like getting points if you fill the card. There's ones if you don't fill the card. There are ways that you can help each other. But I thought it was really kind of fun that the fact that you can like spread like bad rumors, and then you can like say good stuff to somebody, and it affects the cards in different ways. Some people really like to get into drama. I think it is called causing drama. I think something like that is. And then it's causing drama and paying somebody a compliment. And we just played it. It was a really good 45-minute game. And I was like, it was just a little surprise. That one in Manus Falls, total surprise of the cons for me.
And we're actually going to be live streaming that one. Spoiler alert, surprise.
Oh, nice.
They met with me at PAX, and were like, they thought it would be a great candidate for live streaming, and it's going to have great table presence.
Cool. And then it can be played 2 players?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so what I'm about to talk about, we didn't play at PAX, or I didn't play at PAX, but I wanted to finish off on this and talk about 2 games. The first of which, I know I've played. I don't know that you have. I think Jeremy has. And the second one, Jeremy and I have definitely played. So Ryan, you could just sit at the sidelines and cheer for the moment. But the first one is Unsettled. I've been wanting to get this to the table for quite some time. In fact, I've had this since Gen Con.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to say I just haven't had the time to get it to the table.
Con after con after con since Gen Con. So.
And I did set it up a while back and kind of like sat down by myself, solo style, like Jeremy typically does, and kind of fiddled my way around a little bit, but not enough to truly experience it. Last night, as of the time of recording, I had a buddy of mine come over. I set it up. I still didn't know everything there was to know about playing it, but I knew enough. So I'd set it up. He got here. And this is the friend that I played with recently, and we learned through a different game. I think it was Messina, in fact. And we did that with this one, too. Big hit. I really enjoyed it. And I play a lot of games with my friend Bob. And oftentimes, we play a game, and then it's forgotten, and we play another one. This morning at like 7:30 a.m., I got a text. Hey, what was the name of that game we played last night?
That's the best feeling.
And I was like, dude, you don't have to rush right out and get it. We've just played one scenario. I have it. You're only going to be playing with me. And he just responded, FOMO.
Right,
Like, he wanted to get a copy after playing it just one time. Now, that's happened with him maybe like 2 other times I can remember. But it's a incredible narrative experience. So the best I've heard this described, it is a narrative puzzle of a game. And it's not necessarily a puzzle game, but it is a puzzle of a game because you are really trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to pull this off with the skills that we have? Plus, throughout the scenario, at least in this scenario, you're collecting additional breakthroughs, are what they're called in the game, but these are abilities that you can then use as free actions on your turn. And better yet, and this is what we didn't realize when we first were like halfway through it, there are anomalies that you can get. And anomalies you can get by investigating certain tiles that you're on or cards. They're called nodes in the game. And something crazy happens. My friend investigated one, and the first thing that happened was usually those events happen and they stay on the card until you deal with them. This one was some sort of tentacled sucker thing that wrapped around his helmet, and the token that usually stays on the space actually had to move with him. And as he moved, it was bad because he had to like pip down these cubes that you use. But it also gave us a resource every time that we could use for other things. And I actually had to be in his same space to try to get it off of his helmet. He couldn't do that alone.
Cool. Yeah, those are
so I had to do that. And then when you do stuff like that, you
see
get
what you're
an
doing right there, though. Like you see what you're doing right there. Like you're grabbing at him. Like that's what this game does. It's not all seen. It's written as if you're experiencing it. It's written very much like we're talking to each other.
Yeah.
Versus like you're reading a script. Like you feel like you're reading a script for a show. And you also feel like we're talking to each other. So if you're actually one of those people that just goes, kind of skips all the text and then roll it, well, you're going to be playing an abstract game. If you pay attention to the cards and kind of the silly writing, because even though they're stuck in ruts and different things, they do make jokes. That's the thing. Like there's still jokes in there, written in there. But what I describe this best as, it's like Star Trek and a puzzle at the same time, because these guys are scientists. They're not like people they don't have phasers. They're basically the Starship fleet without phasers in the ship. They land somewhere, and then whatever's going on that planet, they have to react to. And it could be hot. It could be the elevation's way off. There's spores everywhere. You don't know what's going on. And that's the coolest part. You're trying to figure it out. And the map that you may see in early pictures of the game, where it's just like a grid like that completely changes. The game does not play the same. The layout is not the same. Each planet has its own box and its own discoveries and anomalies and things that go on in there that is going to make it different every time. And each planet has its own set of like mechanisms that are going on. So they really did a good job of like, we're on a different planet and this is going to be this box's experience. I believe there's 3 experiences in each box. Listen to me, experiences. There's 3 levels in each box. But I found that this game, and I've only experienced the 2 boxes that are in the base game. I just find that this game is really interesting. It's going to leave a lot of question marks for people who do not know what this game is. David, what's on the front of the box?
Nothing.
David, what's on the back of the box?
The same thing.
So it's going to leave a lot of mystery in there, and it's going to be hard to tell. You're going to have to ask people what they hear, and you're going to hear something different from every person because this experience will be digested in different ways from different people. Some people will just call it a puzzle. Some people will say, hey, it's very thematic. I can see both. If you play Vindication, for me, same thing. It was either very too abstract or was it very thematic to some people? And this is not going to be any different, although I think this one leans way more into the theme than the previous.
I completely agree. I think that narrative is by far the first and foremost the word that I would use to describe this, because those moments that it creates had so much flavor. You could just imagine it like you were reading a good science fiction novel. So I had a lot of fun with this. I'm going to try to get it played again this weekend with Alicia. I don't know if I'm going to do the same planet with a different experience. But I might.
The new stuff.
Mark at Orange Nebula suggested a planet. I can't remember the name of it. It's not in the base box. But they also graduate in difficulty, so it scares me a little bit, but we're going to dive into that. The other game I wanted to talk about, and again, you can chime in, Ryan, but he hasn't had any experience with this.
I played the prototype.
Oh, you have?
Way back when we first got it, but nothing like the final copy. The final copy looks amazing.
And speaking of narrative experiences, Final Girl is a solo game. I don't play solo games, but I played this because I was so taken with the concept back when it hit on Kickstarter. And I backed this thing, and I don't back much. But boy, if anyone who knows me well...
Yeah, magnets.
A magnetic flap is just awesome. Now, you're thinking, okay, get over it. It's a magnetic flap. But check this out. It's also magnetized, and the whole cover comes off, and that serves as one half of the board that you use for sort of this scenario. So this is Hans right here, everybody. Hans, he's not a good customer. He is the bad guy. He's wearing like a metal pig face, and he's going to be hunting you. Where is he going to be hunting you, you ask? Well, you flip the box over, and more magnetic flaps reveal Camp Happy Trails. And this is the map that you're going to be moving around. And this is a very card-driven game. Now, it is also a roll and resolve driven game. And a lot of you are going to go, okay, done, I've heard enough. There's a lot that you can do to sort of navigate that. And I think it has the feel of like any good sort of survival co-op experience, but it's just a single-player game. I've played it once, and I've kind of guided Alicia through it once. And this is just one of the boxes. There's like at least 4 or 5 more boxes that have another location, another bad guy, and then each one comes with 2 final girls. And you can kind of mix and match across the board.
Well, you should.
Yeah, and the narrative experiences that this created were awesome. When Alicia played, she had just left the docks of Camp Happy Trails, and the bad guy moved in. Hans moved into the docks, and then we flipped over an event card, which doesn't happen all the time, and the event card had the docks blow up. It just happened to be that the docks blew up. So Hans took some damage, and it really felt like a horror movie where you just got out in the nick of time, and the explosion went off. Alicia made a joke about walking away from the explosion without looking at it. Like, it was just set up a fun moment. I mean, I wasn't even playing that game. I was just kind of guiding her through it, and I was enjoying watching her experience that. Jeremy, how much have you played of it?
Oh, so I did a live stream back in the day on Facebook for this one here during their Kickstarter. So I'm a big fan of Hostage Negotiator, so this has that DNA inside of it. But this literally puts that game to bed, and I love Hostage Negotiator. I like the theme in Hostage Negotiator. It's silly. It's got theme to it, but this one here leans in so hard. And I hate to tell you, I do know that there's some more coming.
Oh yeah, baby! Don't say a word.
I did see some pictures of this. I'm not gonna say much more. There's so much more, but I'm serious. There are so much more of the games that you love coming with expansions this year. So just think of all these small box games you love. They're coming right back with expansions, which is a good sign. So mean, that means we're in a time of a lot of good games, and this one here is just great. If you're not a solo gamer, this might be your one solo game. Like this might be that one that you throw in your collection, and it's not expensive either. So yeah, it's just a fun little romp, and you can interchange stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so you
I would
get a
say,
little
and
bit
there's
more out of your game.
Spoiler alert, there's even some hidden things in here. So if you have it at home and you haven't taken a close look, take a close look in the box. And yeah, I did talk to Evan at Van Ryder. I think they've announced they're doing a season 2 with more content. And I even asked him, I said, so what all could you do? And he just went, like he just listed all these that I'm not going to say right now, but I have to say, I asked the question thinking, what else could there be? And I was schooled because he said, well, there's this. And I was like, oh, that's the best. That's better than anything they've done yet in this. So yeah, that'll be really exciting. And another last announcement for the campaign tomorrow. When we had bundles, we were lucky enough to get one more all-in final girl that's going to be added to the campaign. If you're watching this live, I know a lot of you messaged me saying, hey, is there by chance going to be more final girl? Well, there's going to be one, and it's going to be happening tomorrow with all the other bundles that drop. So get your clicker finger ready if you want to try to grab that one. Anything else before we leave, everybody?
I mean, a lot.
A lot.
You might see a follow-up video from me. I'll just say that.
We're trying.
But that is episode 91 of Chit Chat and our sort of recap of PAX. There was, like Ryan just said, so much more to talk about. It was a great con.
I played some really cool games.
It was a really fun con, and it was nice for all of us to be there. Emily didn't get to go, but it's always nice when the team here gets together, whether it's here or at a con somewhere. And I look forward to doing it all next year at all the cons. But until next time, everybody, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then. Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.